I went to his house and sat down, and he handed me the rest of the money he owed me, and I handed him the report and basically said, you know, this idea isn't going to be very lucrative. I had a client approach me about a business venture he had been looking into, and this wasn't the first time he had asked me to look into something. He was always looking to expand his business ventures and his portfolio, and it was really fun to work with him. And anyway, this particular project, he laid it all out for me, and he wanted to open a medical clinic, a specialty clinic, in a neighboring town of Grand Junction. And he told me, you know, everything he thought, you know, how the business would go and how much it would cost and how much it could make, and how beneficial it would be for the town's economy and the population of this town. And it sounded like a really cool idea, and I was really interested and excited for it. But he told me he wanted me to look into it and make sure everything would check out, and you know, give him some solid numbers to approach some investors. And so I told him I'd be happy to do that. So anyway, I told him to give me about, you know, 3 or 4 weeks, and I would get him the information he needed. I looked into similar towns, similar populations, and closer to a bigger city or farther away, and the demographics, you know, ski towns versus farm towns, and just kind of get this overall feel of this medical clinic and this particular specialty. And after looking into that, I found some trends. Of course, there were outliers, there always are. But I found some trends, and one of those trends was you needed about 100,000 people to support this specialist 3 days a week. He could have his clinic open. I thought that was interesting, but of course, not everybody needs or wants or can afford to have this done. And so what does that number look like? So I started looking into it a little bit more. And of course, with these kinds of research projects, there isn't an easy way to Google it. There really isn't readily available information, so you have to mine all that. And this was no exception to that. And I spent a lot of hours, you know, finding case studies and research projects of other parties. So some secondary research, and I came to find that nationally, really, about half the population could benefit from this procedure. Oh, cool! All right, 50%. That's awesome. But of course, you know, not 50% are going to get this done. And so I looked into, okay, well, how many of those people will actually qualify for this procedure? Because not everybody can qualify for this. And so I dug into that a little bit more, and it came to about a quarter of that half of people could even qualify for this particular surgery. So how many people actually did it? And of course, I mean, nobody has a crystal ball into the future. So I had to look at past trends over the past 5 years of how many times this procedure had been done, and basically it came about 4% of that quarter actually got the surgery done there, and had a successful procedure. And you know, they overcame all the obstacles like purchasing it or getting insurance to pay for it, and even overcoming the obstacles of the risks, because as everybody knows, medical procedures come with some risk. And so about 4% overcame all that and got the surgery done. And then of course I looked into what the success rate was for this, and what it would be like to find the specialist and convince them to move to this this western Colorado town, and looked into what colors to make the walls to keep the mood light in there, you know, what the competition was doing, uniforms, procedures, how to make the the paperwork seemed more friendly, like all that stuff. As time went on, going into this, it started to become more and more clear that this wasn't going to be particularly lucrative, because another aspect that only came to light after looking into this was that people in these rural towns around Grand Junction specifically, but if they live in a really rural area, driving an hour or two to go to like a Walmart isn't really a big deal for these people. And in fact, a lot of these people will drive that hour and a half, 2 hours even, to come to Grand Junction to get supplies or get things that just aren't available to them in their area, so it's not a big deal. And so you kind of had to overcome that obstacle, and one of the ways that you would have to do that is increase your marketing budget. And of course, marketing, even with Facebook ads, with these places that are really rural, can get kind of expensive. And so it became obvious that marketing costs would have to be more, and not just to reach these people, but to convince them to come to this new office instead of one of the offices in town that's been established for years and has even sponsored races in the past. And so it was just going to be a big cost. And so these things started to come to light, and I thought, this is going to be a really interesting conversation with this client that, his idea may not be very lucrative. And so as the day came to meet with my client and show him everything that I had found, I went to his house and sat down, and he handed me the rest of the money he owed me, and I handed him the report and basically said, this idea isn't going to be very lucrative. And he looked a little disappointed, understandably so. But I walked him through the whole process and told him everything I just shared in this video, and then more things, and he understood and agreed that this was not going to be very lucrative and had the potential to lose a lot of money and a lot of time. And so that's one of the things I find really rewarding about market research is that you can do really cool things. Like the same client, I've helped him start another business that's coming into fruition. It's going to be really awesome. It's going to be really successful for him. But this particular project was going to lose him a lot of money. It would have been a big frustration. And so having those positive conversations and those other conversations that save him a lot of money is equally as rewarding.